everybody, Andrew here from Go Green Compost, and in today's video I want to talk to you about propagating strawberries. One of the things I've been focusing on lately is trying to increase the number of perennial edible plants that I have on my property, and I have a number of fruit trees, but now I'm trying to add to the understory layer, and strawberry is a great way to do that. My wife actually, kind of on a whim I think, picked up a little strawberry plant a couple months ago at a nursery. It sat around in my backyard for maybe a month, and I'd give it a little water. It was in a tiny little pot that it came in. It never really did much. And then one day I was walking around the garden and I was kind of looking for something to do, and I thought, hey, why don't I find a spot to plant that strawberry? So I planted it here under my fig tree, Figgy. Strawberries actually make a great addition to a fruit guild under a fruit tree, because what they'll do is they'll spread out and they'll block the growth of weeds. So they're known as a suppressor in a fruit guild. But this little strawberry, as soon as I planted it here, just a few days after I planted it and it got established, it started sending out these lateral shoots, these little suckers that come off the side of the plant. Those little suckers is actually how the strawberry plant will spread, and you can use those suckers to propagate your strawberry and get tons of new strawberry plants. And in just about 2 or 3 months' time, this little strawberry plant has already turned into 9 plants. So I've got 8 additional new plants here in pots. And there's another one that I've already removed, and I've planted it under another one of my trees. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a closer look at some of these suckers and exactly what you need to do to get them to propagate into either a pot or just into an adjacent area next to your original strawberry plant. And then stick around to the end of the video too, because I'm going to give you a few tips and tricks for how you can get the soil, either in your containers or under your trees, to be hospitable to strawberry plants so that you can get the most healthy, productive plants possible. Okay, so we can take a little bit of a closer look at this strawberry patch here. And as you can see, some of these suckers that are coming off of the original plant have already taken root in these containers. And once they do that, they will continue to grow. So each one can provide you with multiple plants. You can see this one has taken root here already in this pot, but it has continued on, and there's another little plant here, and the tip of this is called the crown. Now, what you want to do to propagate your plant is just take a pot like this with some nice potting soil, and there's a few things you can do to the soil to make it a little more hospitable to the strawberry plant, and I'll tell you about that here in just a few minutes. But the actual mechanical aspect of this is quite simple. You're just going to take that little end of the sucker, place it on the soil, and then what you want to do is take either a piece of grass or a little stick or something like this and just bend it into kind of a U shape, almost like a little staple. And what you're going to do is use that to just hold the sucker down in place on the soil. Now, you don't want to press too hard. You don't want to damage this little shoot here. And it doesn't take much to encourage them as long as the soil is moist and it's a good soil for a strawberry. And you do want to be careful. You might take a little pinch of the dirt and kind of put it on top of the shoot, but you want to be very careful not to bury the crown, because if that gets buried, it can actually rot, and that is not going to create a healthy plant. Give this a nice little watering so the soil stays moist, and pretty soon you'll have an additional strawberry plant that's rooted just like these, and it's got a nice little root system, and they'll get established. And once they've become established and they've developed a little bit of a root system, you can actually just go ahead and snip this, and you can see that this one here, there was another plant between the main plant and this pot, and I've actually cut the sucker, and this guy is doing just fine, and this one's still getting kind of established, and once it does, I'll go ahead and sever those as well. So it's a very easy plant to propagate. They grow rapidly this time of year. It's July here in North Florida, Zone 9, and these strawberries are very happy so far. So propagating these strawberries is actually quite easy. Strawberries do like a slightly acidic soil, somewhere in the range of 5.5 to 6.5. The same kind of soil pH that your trees are going to like. That's one of the reasons they make such a great addition to a fruit guild. Being a perennial, they're going to enjoy the same kind of conditions that your perennial fruit trees are going to enjoy. And so one of the things you might do is add some pine bark. That'll help acidify your soil. Now, my tree here does have some pine bark around it, and I added a little bit of extra pine bark when I put this strawberry in the ground, because pine bark is a good food for fungi and microorganisms. In fact, if you take a look at some of this, you can even see there's some fungal mycelium growing on this pine bark that is around the tree and around the strawberry. And having a soil dominated by fungi is going to increase the acidity somewhat. Fungi tend to make soil more acidic, like what you would see in a forest floor. Another thing you might want to do is use a potting mix that is slightly more on the acidic side. I used Black Gold organic potting mix that does have some peat moss in it, which makes it a little bit more acidic. And then another thing I did was I added just a little bit of this Epsoma berry tone organic fertilizer to each pot, maybe just a teaspoon, not very much. But in addition to some manure and feather meal and some other good stuff, this also has some elemental sulfur. And when you add elemental sulfur to your soil, microorganisms will actually break it down, and slowly it will acidify the soil to some degree. You want to just make sure that your soil is set up so your berries will really thrive, and that's a good way to do that. Strawberries are a super easy plant to propagate. They'll make a great addition to your food forest or your backyard. They make a great addition to a fruit guild, so if you've got some fruit trees, you consider putting these underneath. Where strawberries will grow seems to be somewhat in dispute depending on the source that you check on. Some I've seen say from zone 5 to 10. Others I've seen say zone 5 to 8. I'm in a coastal zone 9A, and we're in the middle of July, so it's quite hot out, and these strawberries are doing just fine. So I think if you're in a hotter climate, you'll be okay with strawberries. I would say go ahead and give them a good mulching and make sure that they have plenty of moisture. Let me know what you do with your strawberries. Let me know if you have any tips or tricks for propagating these. Leave them in the comments below. If you've got a fruit guild with strawberries and fruit trees, let me know what else you have in there, because I would love to hear what you guys have to say about strawberries and strawberry propagation. And if you liked this video and you'd like to see more videos about plant propagation, then check out this one right here. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you guys all very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will catch you next time. Andrew from Go Green Compost out.